Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, your time zone. Today, we are bringing our topic, how to improve Africa's educational system, live. I'm here. My name is Rejoice. As you know, I'm the host for today. And I also have the pleasure of speaking with Kwame and also Dr. Marcel. And I'm excited to have them here so they can introduce themselves and why they're interested in this topic. And then I will have an opportunity to introduce you, Matter Consulting, what we do. And then, as you all know, we'll start asking questions regarding our educational system and suggestions and thoughts from our prominent speakers, Dr. Marcel and also Kwame. So, with further ado, I would like to pass the mic to Dr. Marcel first, and then we will rotate to Kwame to introduce themselves and why they are interested in having this important discussion with us. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Rejoice. What a great and impressive topic. This is I'm really interested in this topic, and thank you very much, Tata Consulting, for the positive impact. I mean, it's something that has been our heart desire to share for the next coming generation. So I feel is a very, very great topic where we can explore the horizon, especially when it comes to Africa, because Africa is still behind when it comes to educational advancement, especially when it comes to innovative and being, innovations and entrepreneurship education. So I'm so glad to be part of this room. I'm so glad, Tata. Thank you again, Rejoice. I'm Dr. Marcel, by the way. I'm in South Africa, originally from Cameroon. As you can see, I'm in the education business, like the founder of National Skills and Technical College. I've been into the education sector, I think, for 12 good years. I've been there for 12 good years, and I've learned a lot and got some experience that I would like to share. Together, we can change Africa. Together, we can do something great in Africa. And I believe in you. Together as one, we can transform the education system in Africa. Thank you very much, moderator. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now back to Kwame. Kwame, are you there?
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Philip Kwame Benson, and I'm from Ghana, and I'm a social worker, and I've also been working with United Way Ghana for the past 5 years as a project lead in education. And I'm saying that this topic is a very interesting one because uh, Dr. Michelle was talking at the upper side, but I get opportunity to go into the rural areas, getting to know the challenges that children in these areas are going through in accessing education and all that. So this topic is a very important one that I think we need to explore, looking at it from the basic aspect going all the way to the tertiary aspect. So I think I'm interested in this because I think I would say it's one of my passion, ensuring that every child is able to access their basic right to education. So it's good that we're exploring this topic. And thank you, Rejoice, for this opportunity, and also Matter Consult for me being here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you both for that warm and wonderful introduction. We are excited to hear all your thoughts and how we can improve as a nation and as a people. A little bit about Umatic Consulting. So, Umatic Consulting, we are an HR consulting firm. And basically, what we do is we offer solutions to business owners like yourself or educators like yourself who are interested in improving the livelihood of your people. So it could be payroll management, it could be business administration, it could be consulting, it could be diversity and inclusion, it could be figuring out problems that your people in your organization face, which could be soft skills, introduction of technology like AI. How do these people advance in the years to come? So if you're ever interested in learning more about Umatic Consulting, please follow us on our social media platform or send us a message. I'm more than happy to speak with you regarding your specific needs or your organizational needs as well. So, our first question for our panel today, we would like to know, how can collaboration between educational institutions, businesses, and community organizations drive positive change in the education system in Africa? It could be your specific country or it could be Africa as a whole. So we can start with Dr. Marcel and then Kwame, you can jump in as needed.
Wow, what a beautiful question. A very great one in this, rejoice. Now, when we look at the education system in Africa, in order for us to, I would say, partnership and collaboration, we still have a long way to go. Because when we speak about collaboration, we need to invite the various stakeholders. We need to bring in the various parties. We need to create in awareness, like going to the rural areas, like trying to bring everybody in party to come on the table, like the government sector, like the private sector, like. But now, what happened in Africa, like a case study in Africa, those that are in the rural area, they are not being given that equal opportunity like those that are in the urban center. So we see there's inequality. But how do we build the gap? How do we build the bridge? And imagine there are some of them that are in the rural area, they are very intelligent, believe me, they are very smart, intelligent, high grade, high caliber of marks during final exam, but now they are not exposed. So in order for us to understand the partnership and the collaboration, the government must come in and the various stakeholders must define their various goals and objectives. Let me take a case study in South Africa. What actually they do in South Africa, which is a very good practice, before I go to Finland, because I've studied the education approach of Finland, I've studied the one for Denmark. Those ones I've seen many countries are trying to get into it. But let me speak, since we are relating the topic to Africa, especially South Africa, to be in context. In South Africa, how do they do this collaboration? They use the tax levy. For instance, if an employee is paying 1% of his salary to the government, there's what we call apprenticeship and learnership. So they both collaborate. That money is claimed. The money is claimed. Can you get me? Am I there? Am I heard? Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Am I sure the audience is there with me? Because I saw a network. So they claim the money from the tax of that come from the government. For instance, like me that is owning a private institute, I can apply to say, for instance, in my community, the young girls always get pregnant. So how can the government help with skills, portable skills, skills that they can use their hands? For instance, sewing is a skill. In order to reduce the poverty rate, they will pull in the government to come into it. So we sell an idea to the government to say, look, government, we have discovered in the community, majority of the young girls, they get pregnant because they don't have an access to free education. And some of them are slow learners because in every system you got slow learners. So which skills can we give them? So the government will say, let's give them portable skills. Portable skills are skills that you can use your hand. You can use your hand, they buy them sewing machine. If you're a mechanic, they buy you, it's like a stimulus packet. They give you something to start up. So we bring the government in to collaborate. We bring various sectors to collaborate. Like where I am is a mining area. It's a mining area, and the mines are making a lot of money. So the mine give back to the community. And for the mine to give back into the community, they need to do what they call community skills development. I repeat again, community skills development. That is how I get the business. So they need to give back to the community. With this few words, I submit. Thank you very much, Rejoice. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So back to you, Kwame.
Yeah. So I think Dr. Masalas mentioned most of these things, and I also believe that one challenge mostly I see in the education system in Ghana, talking about collaboration, I say that one of the things I see is more deals with infrastructure and other things that it's making the children stay out of school. Sometimes, like not having certain things that will make them stay in school. So, collaboration is very important because let's take, for instance, schools situated in some areas. Let me come to Ghana, let me contextualize it. You can go to a community. There's this community in the western region where when you go to the community is surrounded by a lot of organizations. We have the big oil companies surrounding this community. We have the Ghana Port and Harbor authorities all surrounding this community. And one thing you go, you see that education level among the children there is very low. So then, what can we do to ensure that this thing is going on well? That's where I think collaboration also comes in. So, school management committees and organizations around this community can invest back into the community, ensuring that. So, imagine you are in such
Yeah.
community engaging in your activities, and the education in that community is very low. How will you feel as an organization? So when organizations around communities, community members, everybody come together, say that, oh, this is what we can do to support the community. We get to know that the school doesn't have infrastructure. So what can we have to put infrastructure there to ensure that, so that because when it comes, every organization, I know they have their corporate social responsibilities. And these corporate social responsibilities are more like they giving back to the society. And most of them, they've tuned this their
Yeah.
CSR into something that will, like it's in towards their work. So let's say the example Dr. Marcel gave, that his place is like a mining community or a thing like that. Such community, let's say for instance, I know that mining somehow falls under STEM education, for instance. So when community, this
Yeah.
organization collaborates with communities, like let's bring STEM education in this community to ensure that the skills of these children are being developed. Ticket. So I think that collaboration works very well if communities are able to collaborate together with government institutions, NGOs, other things coming together. They'll make a very big impact. But I think it will first start from they building their CSR and other things around problems going on in communities where they are operating, so that they'll be able to give back to society. That's what I have to answer this. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for both of your examples. I feel like we're getting right into the next question based on your answer. What policy changes are necessary at the governmental level to drive sustainable improvement in Africa's educational infrastructure, in your opinion, and quality to produce quality students?
Wow.
Dr. Marcel, I see a
You
big
know,
smile on your face.
Very
when it
interesting.
comes to policy, when it comes to policy, I'm going to be straightforward and I'm happy I'm on record. Africa do copy and paste. Policies are never been implemented in Africa. That is why, and that is why we are standing like strong advocate to say Africa is time for us to stop copying policy. What works in Germany cannot work in Africa. What works in USA cannot work in Africa. So we must come up with what works for us, and this is what we call the diaspora. The diaspora, and I like your first question. The questions are linking. What is the diaspora doing? I mean, you have been in the United States. I've been out, and I know also Kwame has been out. We have seen the way others are doing things. But now let's come back to Africa. Is this policy realistic? I can tell you there are some policies in Africa that when you look at them, you are like, no, 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 no. Man, this thing is not realistic. It's not realistic. So we must be honest to ourselves. I love the question. What changes can be done? Number one, what I'm going to say clearly, I will say like a veteran in the business. The education sector have left what they call there must be a policy on corruption. But in other countries like other countries have studied the education system, they have a corruption policy where you don't take things for conflict of interest. Like you discover now, like what Kwame was saying, when the government come in, they tend to appoint, as I'm sitting here now, there was a funding from the government, and this funding was for schools, but it was awarded to a construction company. How can a construction company be doing training? The policy stated clearly a school is required. The leadership back of Africa are the one mishandling the policy. They don't even need the policy. You'll be shocked that, for instance, if Umtata Consulting is in Africa, there's something in HR. They are going to leave Rejoice with all the competency, with all the potential, whereas the policy says appoint a company with experience, 5 years experience. A government official will tell the brother, create a company. There's a job somewhere. There is something we can lick and eat somewhere. They come into the game, they take the contract, then they can't deliver. What is affected? A policy was being jeopardized. A policy was being jeopardized. So when it comes to policy in Africa, if we are all honest, Kwame will tell you, there are times you need to sign papers which you don't know where the invoice is going to, who is getting that money, but your signature needs to be there. We have to be honest, Kwame. We have to be honest. There are times you just sit there, bring on your table. There is a contract here. Approve this person. And you know very well the person, according to policy, according to the books, the person cannot deliver. But now it's coming from the government. The very person that gave the policy is the very person that is jeopardizing the policy. For now, the change is a long journey, a long walk, like how Nelson Mandela would say, it's a long walk to freedom. That one is still a nightmare. I will be honest with you, it's still a nightmare in Africa. Without any excuse, like Patrick Lumumba said, with no apology, being unapologetic. When it comes to policy, a lot of transformation needs to be done. And thank you for rooms such as this, where we can equip young leaders to say, if people are jeopardizing a policy, we can raise a new brand generation that will say A is A, B is B. With this few words, I submit. Thank you.
I think
Absolutely.
it's my
Kwame, you
turn
want to
now.
add or contribute?
Yeah, yeah. So I will, as Dr. Marcel is saying, it's so funny, when it comes to policies in Africa, because one thing I think he was saying something towards what I want to submit, because uh, I've been saying this for quite a while now that I think education system in Africa should be independent of the government. Because when you come to Ghana, for instance, we have the Electoral Commission as an independent body. That means that it's free from political interferences and all that. And I think because our education system is fused to the governmental system, every government, when they come to power, they have their own agenda that they want to, at the end of the day, achieve. Take, for instance, one political party will come into power, he will start a project. When a new political party comes, he says, that's not my agenda, that's not my focus, and they will change it. Ghana, I would say that Ghana were attending senior high schools for 4 years. We were attending that. One political party came, he said, no, we should go for 3 years. Ghana went back to 3 years. Another political party came, you should go back to 4 years. We went back to 4 years. And now the current political party, we went back to 3 years again. So you see how they are like our education system is being I don't want to use the word mismanaged, because every political party, they have their own agenda, and at the end of the day, the average African child is the one that is suffering. Average African child is suffering at the end of the day, because every time the flow is not there. The flow is not there. Let's say for Ghana, we have the school feeding program that is happening. Say that every Ghanaian child, as they are in school, they also have to get some meals for them to stay in school because of like poverty rates and all that. And this school feeding program is supposed to happen in all public schools. But it can shock you that you go to some deprived public school in Ghana and you see them not benefiting from this program. And all of this, as Dr. Marcel said, most times we try to copy policies from out there. Is that policy really in line? What can't we contextualize it in the African context? Sometimes we just pick policies. Oh, we know this country is doing it and they are succeeding. But think twice. When you come and implement it in your country, is it going to work like the way that it's happening in that country? I'm writing an article on what's the name, contributions of NGOs to education in Ghana. And when I was doing the literature review, I came across this program that happened and was happening in Kenya, that they said an NGO was running that program and it was going so well. But when the political party, the president took over, this study was done in 2018. But when the political government took over to do it, he started failing. Why? Because the political parties or oppositions were coming against him. That's why I've been saying that our education system, if we want our education system to go far, I think the education sector should be free from politics. It should be an independent body managed by itself, and we can go far with that. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Very impressive. So, as I was listening to both of you speak, you touch on a key concept that most Africans are aware: copy and paste. The folks who are listening that are not African may not necessarily understand that concept, but most Africans do. Can you guys elaborate a little bit on the curriculum, the current curriculum that African students are studying or being implemented? When was the last time that it was improved upon or revamped? And what's been your experience with the curriculum?
Wow, Rejoice, this your question is like we are sitting in a PhD class now, eh? Wow, they are mind-blowing question, and one need to be careful before you answer them. But anyhow, I'll save it like breakfast, supper, dinner. Now, when it comes to curriculum development, I will touch again what Kwame said. How can you take somebody that study finance and make him a minister of education, and you want him to develop a curriculum? This guy does not know what is a syllabus. Like I'm sitting in South Africa, the syllabus from 1990 is what they are still using till 2023. Nobody has developed. We are not speaking on digital. Carburetors don't still exist. There's one subject which I wrote an article on. The textbook is speaking of carburetors, whereas we are moving to digital cars. So when it comes to the curriculum development, ask yourself, the ministers that have been hired, what are the competencies? Because it starts from the head. You take somebody that did, like, I will put it in Cameroon. There's nothing I'm not saying I'll ever contribute there, but by the grace of God, I might one day contribute. How can the Minister of Education have a sport qualification? He did sport in school. He studied sport administration. Then you take him to be a minister of not even education, not even basic, not even primary, higher education. Higher. This guy is controlling the universities.
Is this
This guy
transferable
is
skills?
controlling the universities. No, no, no. These are the real issues we are sitting with. Even Kwame can confirm with me. If you want to check the qualification of his boss, because he was politically appointed, you will discover that this guy cannot write a speech on his own. But you are reporting. I used to be a lecturer. You will discover that in the school, the person controlling the head of staff, he can't even give a sentence in English. But you must report to this person. So you begin to ask yourself, who did the curriculum? Who did the assessment of the student? He's a boss. So you see, these are the issues. For the curriculum to first be well developed, who is in charge? Who is competent to sign to say this is approved? Do they have procedures? Do they have? But the curriculum, some of them are outdated, to be honest with you. Some of them, when we talk of fourth industrial revolution in Africa, 4IR, we only had it on books and papers. There was more implementation in Africa, and I'll be sure some of these ministers ate money through that. Until today, the laptops that were promised in royal, the laptops that were being promised to royal kids, they never even saw a charger. But people gave to implement the 4IR. If Kwame can agree with me, that thing ended on paper. In fact, what is artificial intelligence? To us in Africa, artificial intelligence is like a horror movie. Everybody see like a horror movie. But go to China. Look at the beauty of this. Go to China. A child that is 5 years can manufacture a watch like this. 5 years. He's 5 years old. He can. So the way they study, they are very innovative. The curriculum is very innovative. They build entrepreneurs. That is why I'm writing an article on entrepreneurship education. Education that will meet the job market. Imagine you go and study, I'm not saying sociology is bad. Sociology, I'm not saying it's bad, it's a good one. There are some curriculum that need to be redesigned in Africa. Anthropology. Where will you go? There's another one. I've just listed them down. There are some things that need to be realigned, redesigned, restructured, reconstructed in Africa. With this few words, I submit. Thank you.
Excellent. Great points on the leadership part. It's very important because leadership, is what everyone needs or looks up to improve. So, Kwame, back to you. What are your thoughts?
I think Dr. Marcella hits the nail. So that I think what I can add to that, it looks like most times when you listen to other speakers speaking, you can see that it looks like Africa, we somehow have a common problem, you know, especially, let me also take it from the leadership aspect coming, yours, you said that we put square pegs in round holes. We'll be putting people that are not qualified into certain situations, and at the end of the day, they mess up the whole department or whole. So let's say, for instance, you put when I say this, somebody might say I'm talking about Ghana. So let me not use that example. So let's take, for instance, a whole department that is in charge of, let's say, welfare. You go there and you ask, how many of these people have even studied social? How many of these people have studied social work? How many of these people have done community development or something? You go and at the end of the day, you can't even count up to like 5 or 10, but it's a whole government institution or a whole government department. But when, like, you try to voice out, it becomes like you're trying to attack government, you are trying to attack this. And by the thing is, sometimes the reality have to be faced. There's a high time we start putting the square pegs in the round holes. If you know that you are not qualified for such position, we don't have to give to you, because at the end of the day, you are trying to affect change, or you're trying to make impact on the average citizen. So if you are not able, if you don't have such qualification, why should we put you there? Though some might say that, oh, the person have a passion for it, but if you have passion for it, do you have the technical know-how? Do you have the understanding? Do you have what it takes to, let's say, assess or ensure that at the end of the day the thing is achieved? So I think one time from the leadership aspect, you have to really be get the governments. I think African governments have to really come up in it, because sometimes when you listen to most, especially the youth from Ghana, Nigeria, because Ghana and Nigeria, these two countries are more like brothers. Every time we try to compare kind of things happening in these two countries, and you can see that most things that are happening in Ghana is happening in Nigeria, and we need to really work on that. So talking about what the name policies that need to be addressed and all that, we just have to, and curriculum, for instance. So let's say, I think for Ghana this year we are fortunate that our curriculum has been changed, but that's for the primary and the JHS schools. The curriculum has been changed a bit to fit what we are learning now. Before, as Dr. Marcel said, we're learning something that I remember when I did my primary school some years back. When you go, they are still learning the same thing, and it wasn't really helping. But I think for now, they've tried to do some restructuring, readjustment to ensure that these things. But still, we need the practical aspect of it. We are turning more into like theory. The theories are too much. It's high time we put more of practicality into our engagement. As Dr. Master said, when you go to China, a 5-year-old can be doing awards, they can be doing this and all, but Africa will go to class, we are holding our textbook. What we are just reading, there's no practical aspect to most of our curriculum. You tell us, oh, you have to put litmus paper into acid to turn into this. Where is the litmus paper? Where is the acid? We don't have these kind of things. But meanwhile, we are learning it in theory. We don't have any practical aspect of it. Most of our education, we tend to be so much theoretical, and we leave the practical aspect in it. So I think one thing that will make our education system go far is, as we are writing a theoretical aspect of it, we should try and include the practical aspect of it, so that we will have a balance. Because too much theory, I would say that one thing I've realized is that when you come, Africans are very knowledgeable. When you try to engage Africans for the book knowledge, we are very good. But most times when it comes to the practical aspect of it, that's when you see the Europeans and other people beating us to it. Because when it comes to book, we are very good getting book knowledge. But when it comes to practical, we lack. So I think to revamp our curriculum and other things, we should try and include practical aspects rather than focusing only on the theoretical aspect. Thank you very much.
Awesome, awesome. I really enjoyed listening to your feedback and your assessment around the curriculum. So thank you so much for the information. I've really learned a lot. Just going along with the curriculum issue we have, is there a possibility that there, teachers can also be evaluated in regards to how they are equipping their classroom, their instructions that they're giving their kids? Is there an assessment for teachers to see how they are performing on the levels that they should be to improve the education of the kids?
Okay, so I think I'll start with this one, and Dr. Marcel will take after. Hello. Yeah, so I think assessments. Okay, so as I said, I've been working with the rural areas or the primary schools and other things. And one thing I've seen so far, I think it wasn't there, but I think Ghana is working towards that, and I think maybe other African countries are doing it that I don't know of. But now they've created a session where we have a circuit supervisor in schools. So this circuit supervisor is ensuring that. So let's say, for instance, if there are 10 schools in this my area where I am, there might be two circuit supervisors, one overseeing to 5 schools, one overseeing to another 5 schools. So they ensure that the teachers are delivering up to expectation or up to task. But one question mostly I try to ask myself is, these teachers, since they went to training colleges and they came out from their training college education and other things, have they gone through other trainings? Have they updated themselves? Most times when it comes to assessment, that's what I look at. So imagine if a teacher, since let's say 19, he completed education, the training college in 1999, and this teacher has been in class since 1999, has not gone through any training on anything. How is the teacher going to impact in the life of the children? There are new techniques, there are new ways, there are new other things that have to come in to ensure that the teacher is able to deliver. So if these things are not put in place, the teacher might be giving your child the colloquial thing or the old thing that he knows of. Because sometimes when I go on the field and I see teachers engaging the children, I'm like, what is happening? Because you don't see like any innovation or anything that is making the bring, you don't see any innovation. It looked like that time when I was in school and the teacher was holding cane on me that learn, like if you don't learn I will lash you with the cane and all that. It's the same thing that happens and all that. So I think more of when it comes to assessment aspect, I think it's more there should be something government to put there, maybe government, corporate. The first question you spoke of collaboration. So if the government and other people can collaborate, put a system there where teachers can, let's say, at least once a year have some conference or some training thing that will update them on their trends and other things. I think the children at the end of the day will do more than what they are doing now. But for assessment, I think Ghana is trying, but I think there's still more work to be done about it. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for
Okay.
that. Appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good one. I will just for just 30 seconds. When you go to a government school and a private school in Africa, the way a private school teacher behaves, you go witchcraft in Africa. In a public school, now I think I will not mention the name of the country. You will see in a government school, a public school, a teacher during teaching period is on TikTok, dancing on TikTok. In a private school, it can never happen. In a government school, a teacher will just decide not to come to class for 1 week. He will get paid. That's the norm. They are working for the government. Now, when you have such a person teaching your own child, somebody that's not reliable, is not accountable, but he's a teacher. So here in Africa, they just do teaching like it's like I have tried everything and it's not working. Let me try to be a teacher. That is why when they go there, especially in government sector, I think Kwame it's an approach everywhere. 90%, majority of some of the teachers, private school teachers, you see the way they carry themselves. You discover that this person, they have invested what we call human capital. That's where they are come in. They have teaching some skills of professionalism, ethics of school administration. Now in the government, come as you are. If you want to change, you change. If you don't want to change, but now in the private sector, the school fees is not the same. Like my kid go to private school. There is a reason why. They go to private school because there I know if there's an issue, the teacher is held accountable. Go to a government school. They will hit you from pillar to go to the principal, go to the head of department, but in the private school, they have invested in their staff. You don't speak to the student anyhow because the child of that guy is not an easy guy. If you deal with him, you go for it. But in the public school, the teachers are just so relaxed. They don't want to work on themselves. You give them maybe you'll be shocked. You go to some government school instead to use English. as medium of communication, the teacher decide to use vernacular, and the exam does not come in vernacular, it come in English. There are some schools, some teachers can express themselves in good vocabulary, phonetic English, and this person is teaching a future leader. So you begin to ask yourself, and I will not call the name of the country because I'm on public, I'm on live. I used to, how I excel in where I am today. There was a teacher that was hired in a public school because I was good in mathematics. I did mechanical engineering. She could not teach math. The principal was not even aware. Sometimes she'll call me behind, give me money to go and sit in for her. Then I'll come and make a joke with my wife. And imagine this person get paid of something she cannot do. But she is getting paid because she is connected to somebody. And your voice is voiceless. This is a real thing. It's a real stuff. I've been a lecturer for long. This lady will say, yo, I know you guys from West Africa. You did math and science, right? I'll say, yes. You say, no. There's this topic, I don't know. But my student must not know, I don't know. So you will tell them it's extra classes. Then I'll go teach. Teach. Who get paid? The teacher. You see the issue. They have not invested in human capital to tell these teachers, you are teaching leaders. Get courses to maintain. You have gone to teaching school, yes. How often do you reinvest in your talent? So they get so comfortable and relaxed. With this few words, I submit. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. I'm going to connect what you both are saying to our next question. In what ways can the curriculum be redesigned to better align with local context, cultural diversity, and the future employment needs? Do you feel, in other words, do you feel the current curriculum could be redesigned better to align with our future employment that the kids will be needing skills to obtain? And how can it be improved?
Okay. I will
I don't know if
stand.
Dr. Marcel, you want to go or Kwame.
Can you get me? Now,
And
I will
Yes, we
start
can
here,
with
hear you
what
perfectly.
I will start with what Kwame said. If the educational system can run on its own without interference of politics, because Kwame can be a bright and shining star, he has the solution, but he's not a politician. There's no way you ever, the curriculum to be redesigned is not a one-man process. So the way they have created a system, even you want to redesign it, they will take you from one office to another, you get tired along the way. For me, in my personal feeling, yes, it can be done. Because I'm one of the person that believe everything is achievable. It can be done if politics should be politics, education should be education. You can mix politics and education, and you know it's so funny. You just sit one day, they just come out with a new law. A new law, nobody was given a time to comment. I've only seen that in South Africa, which is a good thing I recommend. Before South Africa publish a law, they publish it for comment. They publish it for comment. I never saw that in West Africa. They take contribution from different stakeholders. They will go to various stakeholders. Everybody's voice is heard because it's a country of freedom. That is the good thing about them. If there's any article or any gazette, they call it a gazette, or any reform in the curriculum, the minister can just sit and say, hey, tomorrow, like what they do in Cameroon, the president will just come like I'm sitting. Good morning, fellow Cameroonians. As from today, there's no more school suspended. Goodbye. But yeah, it has to go through parliament. After parliament, and before it go through parliament, that is one thing I recommend South Africa. Before it go through parliament, people have given their comment. They have like, we can comment. Then they take it to the politicians. But in Africa, in some part of Africa, they don't even give you an opportunity. What will Rejoice say? What will Kwame say? Who is Kwame? Who is Umtata Consulting? They don't consult. So for us to redesign the curriculum, we need to do a consulting approach to say, let's speak to the people involved. Do you know in Cameroon, they will just sit in the morning, you just hear the national anthem the president wants to address. And these are not simple issues. They'll just sing, they will see his flag. He comes, I have said it, it cannot be otherwise. From tomorrow, immediately, he will say, immediately from 12 a.m. in the morning, is new. They will, cuckoo, the cock is crowing. They tell you in the high school, this is what the president has said. You either take it or you leave it. So you see, but I'm a person with a strong positive mentality. You and me, diaspora, we can decide and say a good years that we can redesign the curriculum if politics is out of the game. Thank you.
Okay, so I will add on to that. So I think one thing I think Africa can do to work on the curriculum is investment in research, because I think that when we started, we said something that we like to do copy and paste. We don't do research. I think that's one thing, because if I want to do a curriculum, I want it to fit my African context. What are the things, what is going on in this part of my country, what is going on in this so you have to make sure you invest in research, get to know things that are going on around you or the things that are going on in your country. If you have fair knowledge about this kind of things, you'll be able to draw up a curriculum that will be able to cater to every child. Because imagine if I go to let's say I go to the UK and I know that, oh, UK, they've made their education system free and accessible to everybody regardless. When I come to my country, do I have that resource to do that? That's most times, like, we don't ask. One thing is, we don't ask questions, we don't research, we don't consult. Sometimes, as we said, it's more of like politics, because most times when they are politicians are coming to power, they have their own ideology and mentality. So when they are coming, they don't care about the average. I don't want to use the word they don't care, but they do. I would say they do somehow care. But the thing is, uh, the thing they are bringing on board, the policy, the curriculum, and other things, it does it fit in our culture context? That's one question we have to ask ourselves every time when we are doing curriculum. Because imagine, let's say for instance, I mean, when we are growing up, I would say that they made us read more of the Western stories that made us see that everything is they live happily ever after. Everything we think that is happily ever after, but in the situation on the ground, is everything happily ever after? That's the question. Is it happily ever after every time? So I think one thing is that we have to invest into research. Let's get to know the things that are happening in our country. When I go to the northern side of Ghana, what are the challenges over there? What is happening over there? If I'm able to know all these kind of things, that will inform my decision, or that will inform me as to the kind of things to put in the curriculum. Because I know when I go to the top, I know that these are the resources that they have. These are the things that they have. So if I get to know the resources, if I get to know about the knowledge, everything that they have, that will inform me to know the kind of things I'll put in my curriculum. So I will, in summing this up, I will say that one thing that we can do to make our curriculum very interactive or beneficial to everybody is, first you have to invest into research and also do consulting. And lastly, we should do more of the practical aspects than always theory. Yeah, thank you very much.
Very well said. Thank you both. One of our folks live listening to us asked a question, and I would love to throw it back to you. They mentioned, Kwame, you said it earlier that the education system focuses on memorization and competition among students. Is it possible that we can also focus on creativity, philosophy, social sciences that encourage students to problem solve a little bit more and be more critical in terms of developing their critical thinking skills. And would that be useful to the countries or the nation of Africa?
I think that would be the best because, as like, for instance, let's say I don't know for other countries, but I'll be in school, and let's say, for instance, the textbook that a teacher used to teach me, the teacher expects me to write the same thing in the textbook when I'm writing exams. When I try to bring my own ideas, I'm being marked down because I'm trying to bring my own ideas or how I understand the thing. Well, like, I remember I would say this back in SHS. I did general arts, so I did government as part of my courses, and I wrote this essay. The essay came, and the grade I had, I was like, what happened? The teacher was expecting me to write the word to word from what I read. They were not expecting me to come up with my own brilliant idea or what I think about it. They want you to copy, memorize what they have taught you, and put the same thing on paper for them. And at the end of the day, what is the creativity in that? Your education, one thing about education is innovation and creativity. So if I'm not able to bring what I think about a topic into bear, then what am I doing? Am I really being educated? Education is to make me be open-minded, think broad, go outside of my comfort zone. So if I try to bring my idea or what I know about a topic and you're marking me down, then that means that that's why I would say people don't see the importance of education. Because if I can sit in my home and I can put something down and I can put it into, I can practicalize it and gain or earn some money from it, then why should I go to school? So I think one is that our education system should be open to more of innovation, more of creativity. The child, let the children come up with what they know, whatever they can bring on board to be creative. Like we should invite more of creativity and innovation than always expecting the children to do like verbatim what they've taught. That Ghana will call it, we'll say chew and pour. You go and chew what is in the book and we come and pour it for you, the teacher in the exam. So if you what you taught me, I chewed the same thing, I bring you the same thing, then what did you teach me? What you taught me is what I've given back to you. You didn't open any room for me to come up with any innovation or anything. So I think there should be more of the education system should be open, should be welcoming to new ideas, new creativity, new inventions, and other things. And I believe at the end of the day, we also have big people like big names, big brands like we have in the Europe and other things. As I said, Africa, when it comes to knowledge, we are very good at the knowledge. But when it comes to practicalizing the knowledge, we have issues with that because we've been doing chew and pour every time for our examiners. So I think we should encourage innovation and creativity in our education and to go a long way. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. I see Dr. Marcel smiling there. We have a question for you, Dr. Marcel. How important is ethics in the role of education? Do you feel ethics should be a course of itself for students to learn? And how do you think this will impact our generation going forward?
Yes, ethics is very, very important, beginning from the side of the head. I'll always attach everything to leadership because John Maxwell said the rise and fall of everything is entitled to leadership. Imagine a lecturer that has already been deemed to say for a female student to pass. I think we once had that discussion in Untata Consulting. A female lecturer or a male lecturer has already portrayed to a female lecturer that for you to pass, you need to have sex with me. Where is the ethics? That is why we have a lot of slay queens with certificate serve. In You go to the mall, of them, all they know because of lack of ethics. So it must be an awareness, student to lecturer relationship. It must be an awareness. They do that in a lot of countries like Singapore, Finland. First thing when you come, they call it orientation and induction. For us, our orientation in Africa, orientation and induction is this is your lecturer, né? That is your classroom. That is the principal office. That is the bathroom. Tomorrow morning, report to class 8 a.m. Done. But now, when it comes to where I am now, I discover they even have a policy on abuse because they have studied to see that no, a lecturer can harass. You know, in West Africa, they call the lecturer the king of the class. He has no ethics. He believes he need to conquer every female lady before they can pass. And now he has degraded the dignity of that female. Now the female is leaving the school to say, before I get something, I need to sleep with a man. I need to sleep with a man before I can get a job, before I can get money on my own. So if ethics are not put in place, I know in big organization, when you come through, they take you through the ethics. These are what we believe in. These are our core beliefs. You don't trespass. You don't pass this. You are not allowed to go to your teacher for marks. If you want to pass, you need to study. But I can bet with you, in Africa, if you want to check people to back even their doctorate, even their research, like what Kwame was saying, somebody will copy a research from UK. The professor also is going to mark it and say 100%. So ethics is very, very important because if people are not living by ethics, they'll be animals. People tend to behave like animals. If there are no ethics, the lecturer will want to conquer every skirt, and every skirt will want every, let me not use that word because I'm public, let me keep the word. So let's try to instill ethical behaviors in school. Let's tell the lecturer your part and your role to play. The student, your part and your role to play. Then together we can build a quality education. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, phenomenal answer. We're so passionate about this topic, and there's so many ideas you guys are sharing today, and I'm really enjoying. I hope our listeners are folks who are from the government sector, business sector, the local NGOs, anyone who's listening that could take some of these ideas back to their countries will be super helpful. Our next question for both of you, Kwame and Dr. Marcel: are there alternative assessment methods that can be provided for more comprehensive evaluation of students' skills beyond the traditional testing methods that we're currently using? And what would you suggest would be a better method?
Okay. Very good and impressive and innovative and creative question. I believe if we can use the education taxonomy approach to say, if a student can do something with the head, let him use his hand. In Africa, we believe that a mechanic is not educated. Once you call my husband is a mechanic, hey, you got married to an illiterate. You got married. Once you said my husband is a welder. Now, that person is educated, just that he's not educated with the brain. He's educated with his hand. There are people that are good with hand skills. Some of them can cook very well, but they can't speak English. So, what can we do? They do it here in South Africa. They call it RPL, or apprenticeship, where they take you, they say, rejoice. We want you to build a bottle like this, for instance. If you can manufacture this, they assess you based on what they see. And I believe that is what Singapore, Finland, and China they are using to say, Mr. Kwame, You are the student for the day. Can you produce something like this? Can you do this bottle? Then we give you a certificate on this. So if Africa can say a mechanic is not an illiterate, he's educated with his hands. He might not know, he might not have that knowledge, but he has the ability, the talent, the competence to use his hand. There are some people that they are good at handwork. They can sew, they can do hair. So, but in Africa, once you say you are in a saloon, school dropout, you are useless. You run away from school. They give you all type of thing. Once you say you can do hair, you are a barber. In Africa, it means you are useless. So those are the things Africa need to bring back to say, no, let's sit on the table. Mr. A can be good with his hand. Can we see a way on how to equip him to his best performance capacity? Not to belittle him or to neglect him. And that is how brain drain has come into Africa. That is why there's a lot of brain draining. Somebody that was insulted as a mechanic in Cameroon, when you go to United States, they say, yes, this guy can perform. He's excellent. He's powerful. So we need to start accepting that not everybody is educated here on the brain. Some people are good with the hand. And let's come in with curriculum that can help these people and we give them certificate. With this few words, I submit.
Awesome. Awesome so much. I just want to follow up on what Dr. Marcel said, and I don't know if Kwame you'd like to jump in afterwards. As you know, I'm in the US, and one thing, and I'm also in HR, human resources, and one of the things I've observed the past 5 years, skills that are deployed from vocational programs like what you're describing, where students are using their hands, are actually more valuable right now in the 21st century, 22nd century, and 23rd century, and so forth, because of the concept of technology. So now with the type of technology we have, folks don't necessarily need a 4-year degree as much as we've been emphasizing in different capacities and etc. Of course, the traditional degree would be required for some needs such as the health or medical sectors and etc. But there's going to be some talents that are going to be deployed from vocational programs. So people should be aware of these things and not feel like someone who doesn't have a 4-year degree is a useless person and so forth. So Dr. Marcel, that was an excellent point. Kwame, did you want to share your feedback on this question to how important is degree versus
Yeah, so look
vocational
like
programs?
I think Dr. Marcel started that, and you've also added on one thing. I've got to. I think now Ghana is trying to encourage NVTI, that's the Vocational and Technical Institutes, to ensure that this kind of things happen. Because, as Dr. Marcel said, sometimes people, some people will be able to write from their brain. Others, you have to give them something to do. And one thing is that I'm actually working on a project right now. Yesterday, King Charles is 75 years old, and the British Council in Ghana tried to commemorate the birthday here in Ghana, and they wanted. They were, I think, the theme was on sustainability or recycling and other things. And I try the children that we are engaging. We just told them to come up with some creative idea. One of United Way programs is on like recycling and environmental sustainability. And if you would have been there to see the kind of thing that these children were able to create, there was this one student that the teacher said that anytime he engaged this child in class, like he's not responding, like he's failing. Like when you write, the grades are down. But if you see the artifact or the thing that this guy was able to do with his hand, like I was marveled when I saw the thing yesterday. And when we took it to these places, most of the high officials that were they were commending on the thing that the boy has done. So one thing that I think we should be doing is that we shouldn't focus more on the I think from the onset I've been saying it that we focus more on theory than practical, because most things, this computer and all these kind of things, it's practical. They are using their hand to put those parts and everything together. They are using their hand to most times it's not from the brain. Most times somebody can just take, let's say, the bottled water that you are drinking from, somebody can just take that and transform it into something that it will be beyond your imagination. So we should invite more of creativity into our education system. We should, sometimes it shouldn't always be that the child wrote exam and didn't get a pass grade. If that exam there's a practical aspect, give it to the child, let the child do it, and you see the outcome of it. Engage the children in projects, engage the youth in projects, than always going to the university. As he said, I did, Dr. Marcel said something, I did social work and sociology. So when he says sociology, I said, hey, this man is trying to come to my area. I did sociology and social work in the university. But at the end of the day, I majored in social work because I got to know that social work, there were more practical aspects of the social work, because I was going on the field, I was meeting people that, like, sometimes when I'm able to meet people on the field and do something, I marvel myself, oh, so I can do this thing better than staying in the classroom. So sometimes they should encourage more of practical aspect, field work, and other things. Go out there, make the education practical than more of theory every time. So that's what I can add to this thing. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Awesome. I know we've run out of time. This is our final question, and then we'll be ending with our closing remarks. So, with our final question, going back to what Dr. Marcel said earlier about collaboration, what role can communities, African communities abroad or folks in Africa, including parents, local leaders, NGOs, play in actively supporting and contributing to the enhancement of education in Africa? What can we do? For the folks listening, from the folks back home, what do you think we can do to collectively work together in achieving a common purpose in improving Africa's educational system?
Okay, so I think I will start with this one. I think one challenge I've also seen is that in Africa, most times we tend to over rely on the government. The reason why I'm saying this is that though the government have to ensure that our education system is going well and all that, but sometimes it looks like we go overboard. And the reason I'm saying this is, let's take for instance, every school have a parent teacher association. We have school management committees and other things. So sometimes for us to ensure that our education system is running smoothly or is going on well, why don't we take some of the things upon ourselves to do it? Sometimes it doesn't mean we should bring money, because sometimes I say the money is a big issue, but sometimes our expertise. Let's say, for instance, I go to a school, sorry, let's say I go to a school, my child is in a public school, and I go to this school. I get into the school and I see that the school, the door to the classroom is wearing off, and I'm a carpenter. Must I say that because I'm not being paid by the government, I have to leave, wait for the government to come and do it? But I have expertise as a carpenter. What can I do to help the school to ensure? Because at the end of the day, my child is also in that school. So as community, one thing I see as community, sometimes can bring our expertise on board, because sometimes we've come to know that most times when we rely on our government, they won't come and do it. They won't come to our aid. Sometimes you have to take it upon ourselves to do it. If we need to bring our expertise, our knowledge on board, because one thing I've seen that in Ghana, I think most times I see that old students associations will come, or alumni will come on board to put certain things in schools to ensure that the teaching and learning is going on smoothly. So one thing I think communities or parents and other things can do is that sometimes when we see that the government is not going to come in, let's come out ourselves. Let's bring our expertise on board. Let's bring what we can do to ensure that sometimes. And one thing too is that, sorry, I know our time is fast spent, but one thing I got to enjoy in my line of work, I got to know that sometimes even parents don't know that their children's teachers. They don't know the teachers teaching their children. So if you're a parent, you don't know your child's teacher, what like what are you doing? You don't even know, so you don't know what the teacher is even impacting in the life of your child. Do you get it? So sometimes I think that all that comes in the first question you ask about the collaboration. Let's collaborate with whether we use our expertise, we use our money, other things, that every time relying on the government. Because let's say, for instance, you have been waiting on the government for 3 years for something to be done and the government is not coming. What can you do? You have people that have the skills. You have people that have can go to the farm, cut some trees and other things, come to put it together to make a structure or something for the children. So I believe that when as society or as community, we own projects or we own the education system ourselves, that every time relying on the government, it will go a very long way to help all of us. So that is what I have to add to that. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was a very great submission. Thank you very much, Kwame. I think you spoke a bulk of wisdom. I think I'm also liking your personality. I deal a lot with social workers, and it's a very, very good field. Some of them, they come to check the student. Like what you were saying, it takes a community to raise a child. It takes a community to raise a child. Now, there are some orphans, like that is how I managed to know that in developing countries, social workers are playing a very big role, especially where I'm seated. Majority of the money for school fees sometimes come from social development. Now, what am I saying in this? Let's start from the early childhood development of a child. In Africa, you will discover what they teach those kids when they are young. What are they teaching them when they are young, in their early stage? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. You discover, I was shocked one day, I went to a creche. I will not call the name of the country. In that creche, there's a textbook, they have drawn image of people kissing. These kids are still young. In a creche, they are teaching them sexual reproduction. I'm like, I went to monitor the creche. I'm like, oh, God must help Africa. Upon all the things, you decide to teach a youngster sexual education first before teaching how to make money. That is why I come back to you and me listening in life now. Us that were in diaspora, let's come up with scheme. Like what I do in order to support Cameroon. Sometimes I'll put a scholarship, like some students when they write WAEC, I will go to a school and say which is the best student in that school. I will donate maybe $1,000 to the best student to encourage and promote education so that others can see, because you will discover the person is from a family that is not advantaged to send him to a good university. So in order for us to collaborate and bring each other on the table, like we can also agree to say, diaspora, what can we do back home to support those bright stars? What are we doing in our own shoe? Like what I've said, I do, and it's a yearly basis, annually. In my former school where I studied in Cameroon, I will call the principal and ask sometime, I will meet the 5 best students in every class. What can we do for those students? What can we do? So it's not easy. It's not easy. Again, our early childhood development system in Africa, what are we teaching the youngsters? If we don't teach them entrepreneurship education, how do we expect them to become entrepreneurs? How do we expect them to become innovative? How do we expect them to become creative when our system itself start teaching a 4 years old how to do sexual reproduction at the age of 4? Now, when the country is flooded with a population of 120 million, the very government come on TV, we are struggling with overpopulation. Where did it start? Early childhood development. I'm sitting in a country where a 9-year-old girl can become pregnant. 9 year old, it's not that I heard, I saw with my eyes. 9 year old girl pregnant. Imagine. So it's something very bad. Let the diaspora come up with a way on how we can also help back home. With this few words, I submit. Thank you.
Awesome. It's just been a wonderful conversation. I don't even want the discussion to end, but we have to be respectful of your time and you volunteering to be with us today. So I would like to thank everyone who came on to listen to our talk and everyone who asked questions. I would like to also thank Dr. Marcel, also Kwame, for making time and giving us such nuggets and important information such as education in the African system. And I've learned so much, and I hope you have also taken away something from us today. I would love to give Dr. Marcel and Kwame an opportunity to give us final closing remarks for us as we leave this morning or afternoon, depending on your time zone. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rejoice, for the platform. I think our voice can also be heard. It's something, what you are doing, don't take it for granted. It must start like when a plane takes time to fly. A plane does not just fly. Before you need to fly, you need to take time. So whatever you are doing is going to fly. Give it some patience and some time. And what I want to conclude with this room, whatever we have heard here, let's try to see how we can create positive impact in Africa. Let's not only be negative. There's also some things that are good. Let's try, you and me, how we can change Africa education system. Let's stop the blame game and also work on ourselves and see how we can support, especially the diaspora. That's been my cry. And I think with the voice of Umata, how do you say it? Umata Consulting, we can do it. And thank you very much for the platform. Keep on. It was such a great time. I did enjoy. I also learned from Kwame. I thought it was only in South Africa we face this. It's my first time I hear now also Ghana is going through the same thing where people will take money that is meant for school fees. Hey, if I can say the things that I'm seeing in the education system, some people will claim school fees for ghost learners, learners that are ghosts. They are not existing. Dead people. He will claim that he's sponsor. And this is not anything, it's a ministry department claiming that they sponsor 500,000 learners just to discover that all those ID numbers, they are not existing. So I was very opportune and I'm glad. I've also learned that in other countries, what happened to A happened to B. So I'm a bit comforted now. I'm a bit concerned. No, chill, chill, chill. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, so what I can also say is that the education system, though we have a long way to go, but if everybody comes on board, we'll be able to achieve our goal at the end of the day. Because, as we said, the copying and paste is too much. And we should allow room for innovation. We should allow room for creativity. We should allow room for new ideas. We shouldn't focus mainly on this is what the textbook is saying, so we should go strictly by that. We should open up, and as Dr. Marcel said, if you can make a difference, if you are a diaspora and you can make a difference back home, just do that. I can see, I think Ghana, we are seeing some things happening now. I think Idris Elba, I think the mom is a Ghanaian, so he's trying to put up some filming studios and these things in Ghana just to encourage those that want to go into that line of profession to be able to be trained. So if you are a diasporan, if you are an African somewhere that you can support back home, give back to every time we say it abstractly that Africa It's a land of opportunities. Africa has a lot of minerals. Africa has a lot of things that the other continent don't have. But if you don't train their minds for them to be able to turn these minerals or the resources into something that will benefit the whole continent, we'll still be lagging behind. So if there are ideas or things out there that you can bring on board to ensure that the continent stand out, just feel free and do that. And I know at the end of the day, when Africa is being praised, yourself, you will feel proud that your contribution was part of it that made it to where it is today. So that is what I have to add to this. Thank you very much.
Well,
Sorry,
thank you
while you
both
were
so much
speaking.
for your.
Sorry, while you were speaking. Okay. So yeah, Rejoice. While you were speaking, something just opened my mind. Do you know, you that is in United States of America, you have a voice more than Kwame to go to Ghana to say you are coming from America. You have this approach. They will even listen to you more than Kwame that is in Ghana. Just because this is what happened with the copy and paste. You see Kwame shaking his head. This is what happened with the copy and paste. So no, 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 it's not a laughing matter. I have seen it. I have been into workshop that people were paying hundreds of dollars, and this guy came from Germany. He spoke nothing. He went only the food was nice. We ate nice food. The hotel was beautiful. Nothing new, just the fact that he's coming from Germany. And the black Sarawitas were clapping. There is Dr. This coming from Germany. We have African problem. We go. So I'm trying to get something how we can all collaborate. The diaspora has a part to play. Me and you have a part to play. We can organize. If, I'm telling you, if they say America is coming to Ghana, you will see how they are going to attend. They will come, they will even pay. The naive is Kwame Benson. Kwame is here with us in Ghana. What will Kwame tell us in Ghana? So I like your initiative. You always look back in Africa. It's a very no. I've seen how especially Germany is milking this country. They just sit when they are broke. They come up with a conference. All these principals attend a conference. He's from Germany. Yeah, you go there. This guy is just reading. He put his projector. He put his projector. He hold it. He plays his projector 4 hours. Then you raise your hand and you ask, what happened after this next? They discovered that some people were just making a business. So what Kwame said, you have your part to play. We can collaborate and we can do something in Africa. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Marcel. I saw Kwame coming off his mic as well, so I don't know if you want to say something else before we close. It's such a wonderful topic. We don't want to stop talking. I'm sure there's so many ideas, but we've learned so much. Thank you so much for your time. Back to the topic, how to improve Africa's educational system. I think this is going to be an ongoing discussion, and I would love to have you back on the show again, maybe in a few months after this, to see if there are anyone or businesses that have reached out to you to collaborate or do some amazing work, whether in Ghana, in Cameroon, or South Africa, or any of the African countries that we talked about today. The key around improving education, from what we heard from you, is looking at the curriculum, looking at the redesign of the curriculum. Who is in charge of this great institution, such as educating our young future minds? Are we putting the right people in place, or are we putting people who we know are family members and etc.? And then also looking at technology, how's that going to impact the future workplace? What kind of skill set we'll need for the future? So these are going to be ongoing conversations. And here at UMATA Consulting, we're open to ideas. If you want to collaborate with us, please feel free to join us. I know Dr. Marcel also have his business. He's also an investor. Feel free to reach out to him. If you want his contact info, I'm happy to share if you reach out to us. Kwame is also in the social work. feel free to reach out to him. They're all on LinkedIn if you want to follow them, if you want to discuss this further. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback as we speak. So people want us to continue speaking, but I know you have to go back to your family or the work that you do. So thank you all and have a wonderful morning or afternoon, depending on your time zone. Take care.